Hey, what's going on, good people? This is your host of the Beyond Normal podcast, Kenny Groom. I have a very special guest with us today. Incredible founder. As many of you have been following my journey, I recently moved to Gastonia, North Carolina, and so the startup founder community here has really been embracing me here as one of the lone podcasters that's quickly changing in the co-working space that we're in. But I met this incredible founder by the name of Starr Clinton. She is the founder of Nita's Hands. I'm going to give you all just a quick breakdown because she does a lot with this incredible organization. But she's committed to transforming our world by mending the gap between the hearing and deaf community. And so this is often an overlooked segment of the population. So I'm pleased to have somebody such as Starr putting the time and energy and the effort into building out this org for that community specifically. How are you doing today, Starr?
I'm good. Busy, head spinning, but I'm here
Mm-hmm.
and keep going.
Yep. Yeah. So all you can do as a founder, I want to dig right into things and let folks know just a little bit about your story. Tell us a little bit about what you were doing before starting Nita's Hands, because you were doing some incredible work.
Yeah. So I started into the school system. School system had me in as technically a teacher assistant, but hired me to be the interpreter for deaf students. And so in that, I found myself advocating for the students. Um, and the reason why I ended up having to advocate for the students because they wanted me to do other things that technically my role said I should be doing, but I was hired for this particular
Mm.
assignment. And that was talked about, this is what you should be doing. This comes first before anything else. And so, in that, once my boss kind of left the scene and I'm under somebody else's supervision, they tried. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, no, we
Mm-hmm.
have to I have to be here with the student. I cannot just leave the student in the classroom by themselves and they don't have anyone in here interpreting for them. So you go against the grain, they start treating you different. You know how it goes in that world, but I really didn't care
Mm-hmm.
at that point. But that led me to having this vision of starting a class, a sign language class, and actually stepping out on faith. And what I end up doing is like asking individuals like how they felt about me doing this and seeking that validation. I really wanted someone to talk me out of it. That didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen. So I had no excuse. I had to just do it because I had already been talking about it. And I'm like, oh my, what did I do? And I ended up quitting my job.
All the
Cold
way off the
turkey.
cliff.
Cold turkey. I do not recommend that you just do that. But that was my story. That's what I needed to do. And I ended up having a packed out class. The first class that I ended up offering, it was about 40 or 50 people there. And I ran with it, great feedback. And not long after doing my classes, though, COVID hit. So it made me really have to think about how I was going to pivot this thing. But that's really when the idea started to come about. Like, it's more than just teaching sign language. The deaf community needs resources as well.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to do that? How are you going to make an impact? What can you do in honor of your mom?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, bunch of thoughts and ideas started happening. I'm like, okay, I'm getting overwhelmed. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I don't know how this little timid little girl is gonna make this big impact. That's how I felt. Um, but the all I did was continue to talk to people every
Mm-hmm.
day, asking questions, and the idea of starting a nonprofit came about, and I was like, I think I can do that. But I tell people now, if you can start a nonprofit, you can start a business because the Lord knows
Mm-hmm.
a nonprofit world and just a regular business. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I got you beat.
Definitely a jungle.
I
I can
think I
imagine.
got you
I can
beat.
imagine.
I'm sorry.
Survival of the fittest. Survival of the fittest. No, it's true. It's true.
Nonprofit world is not for the weak.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
So let's dive in a little bit. I appreciate you kicking things off there. You said a lot in those in describing your story. First of all, you had people who were like pushing you off the cliff. I think that's not the story we hear about all the time, whereas people are like, like, hey, you need to have a 9 to 5. Like that's the language that we usually hear about from founders. And so I'm curious, like when these people were like kind of pushing you off that cliff, like is there something they were seeing? Like how passionate were you talking about this? Because I have to imagine you must have been to the point where you were talking about it so much they were like, you need to do this.
I don't even know if it was really me talking about it, to be honest with you. I really think it was just my actions. Um, because I didn't say much. I really didn't. I just spoke up for them. And I
Okay.
really believe that my advocacy and me just doing what I have always done my whole entire life, even
Hmm.
with my mom, like as I reflect, I realized that I was advocating for my mom even as a child, going in and out, like my cousins and everybody playing outside. But I get called in and I need to interpret for my mom at family gatherings and things like that.
Mm.
So I was already an advocate and didn't even realize that's what I was doing. I was bridging that world at a young age.
Hmm.
So I've been doing it all my life. It just became second nature. And so I believe that the work that I was putting in and I showed up daily. I didn't just kind of show up and just do what you would say a half-ass job.
Hmm.
I didn't. Just not what I
You
did.
put your all into it.
So I really believe just the work and the work ethic that I had, and they saw that, I truly cared for my students. I think that that spoke volumes versus me really just saying a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, honestly, just to randomly come out and just say, I think I want to start teaching, I think it was just like, I think you should.
Hmm.
Or it was just me saying it just clicked for someone. It was just like, no, I think that's your true calling for real.
Hmm.
So it's one or two. Something happened.
Got it. Yeah, something happened there.
Something happened there.
Got it. And so you said, I'm going back to what you said earlier as well, where you said you had some people that told you yes, you did it, and then you had that early validation, right, where 50 people signed up for that first class.
Hmm.
Now COVID hits. Like, what type of traction are we talking about when COVID hits?
When COVID hit, it was a complete halt. like I was
Complete.
I was like, why did I do this?
Mm.
Why did I even think that this was even possible? Like I started doubting myself because I literally had to stop everything. And I had just, like when I say just received my nonprofit status and everything in the mail, like right in January. I'm planning out like we're about to do book bag drive. We're about to do all this other type of stuff.
Hmm.
Get all that stopped
Okay.
immediately. So that was a pivoting moment for me. But I will say that there was a small fire in me that understood like, wait, you can't quit. Like you started this, you can't just quit on it just because, life happens. Because that's
Hmm.
going to happen throughout life anyway. It's going to happen throughout my business life. Things are going to happen. You're going to have to pivot no matter what.
Hmm.
So as I think about this, and I want to really kind of put emphasis on, like I'm starting to write a book. It's talking about walking fear because it's literally that has been my life. I've been fearful to do things, but I didn't let it stop me. So that's kind of how I felt COVID did for me. I was fearful of what was about to happen, but I had to have faith that I was going to be all right. So it was a mindset thing,
Got it.
strong mindset thing.
Yeah, strong. So with that, right, you have this pause during the pandemic. I would assume that during the pandemic there would be a need for these types of services even more so. So I'm curious, like what was the cause of that? Because we all moved to a digital first experience, and so I would assume there needs to be there needs to be even more focus on making sure everybody can communicate. in these settings?
I'm gonna tell you the thing that we came up against that really bugged me is we all had to wear masks.
Oh.
We all had to wear masks around that time. And I don't know if you noticed, there was the clear mask started to come out because there was a big talk about like the deaf community needs to see your lips to move. So how are you going to communicate effectively to them if they can't even see your lips moving?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was something that needed to be advocated for. So I started, really talking about that. I started reaching out to certain companies like, hey, have you thought about having clear masks? We end up getting a sponsorship from a company that gave us clear masks, and we just started distributing them out. Just because it was like, you need to at least have your staff doing these and having these on, at least on hand. You can wear your regular mask, but if you're dealing with a deaf person, at least have a clear mask on so they can see your face. So, I mean, there was little things that we were able to do and contribute and to be able to partner and back up other initiatives out there, which gave me hope because I found another avenue that I could help at least.
Yeah, exactly. And that's still like that's going towards your target audience, making sure that these businesses understand like you have people within this community.
Yep.
And I think people like you even schooled me like when we were just initially talking, we initially met about just how vast this population hit is, even like here in the States, right?
Yeah.
Like you're talking about millions and millions of people. I'm curious, like now we're at a point now where I see like we turn on the Grammys or we go like I think the popular video is like Waka Flocka. You've seen that, right? Where it's like even the artists now understand like there's people who want to like engage, entertain, spend dollars in the community.
Right.
Let me go ahead and like make sure like they can follow along, which I think is cool. I'm curious, like, what your thoughts are around the progress that's been made since that shutdown in the pandemic, where we're at, and then like where you see there still being some opportunities.
There's a lot of opportunities out here. There's been progress made. I just don't think that there's been big progress being made right now. And I can only speak when I can look at things at a bigger picture, like what our president, what our government is doing, right? They always have the interpreters up there on the screen, and I'm grateful for that. But then when you look at what we just had the Super Bowl, you get a 10-second clip of an interpreter and then it goes away. They have to tune into a whole nother station just to even have an interpreter present, and that's not even necessarily what they're offering. It's somebody else is offering it, right? So I think about those things, and it's not to shun like the NFL or anything like that, but it's just like I know other countries and languages do have an interpreter on most of their TV series. So we can adopt that same thing. We're just not taking the time to do it.
Gotcha.
We're not being proactive. We're kind of being reactive, which is not the way to be inclusive, right? But if we want to talk about like locally, let's think about we have concerts, we have government meetings that are televised.
Yeah, for sure.
Where's the interpreter?
Yeah, where's that interpreter at? Wow.
You want them to be a part, but you're not advertising that you're going to allow it to be accessible for them. You're waiting for them to just show up and say, I need an interpreter. That's not how it should be. You want everybody to feel included. You got to be proactive. Hey, we want you out here. We're going to have an interpreter. I give you a prime example. Shout out to the Color Purple. I am in the Color Purple that's coming up. And all I did was just say, hey, can we have a day that the deaf community come out and see the show? Let me get some interpreters lined up for you. They interpret the whole entire show. Oh, that's all it takes. Now you can advertise, hey, we're going to have interpreters on this day. We would love to have our deaf community come out and be a part.
Okay.
Right? That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Small changes. It doesn't, and I understand, a lot of times people look at it like, oh my gosh, an interpreter is going to cost so much and we got to add that into our budget. Okay, but if they're coming and buying tickets,
Yeah.
what does that matter?
Hey, you're getting your money back.
Like, what does that matter? And it's not even, I don't want to look at it as like a money thing, but I mean, when you're talking about business and corporations, you got to think that way, even though I hate that.
The
But
ROI of
yeah,
capitalism.
it's stupid. But
Yeah, understood.
I hate to say
Understood.
that, but it's so stupid. You should want to just do it out of your heart. I want to be inclusive, right? So, yeah.
So, all right. So, say because again, you're schooling me on these topics for like pre-recorded mediums, like movie theaters,
Hmm.
pre-recorded, shows, podcasts, for example. I don't know exactly how Apple or Spotify are supporting this community, right? All right, so that's where my thinking is, where it's like, now that we have this, and my question, I guess, is now that we have the technology and the technology companies putting like layers on this stuff, do you feel like they're able to close the gap a little bit, or should the
They
onus be on me as a creator?
so I most definitely think it should be on the creator still, because I mean these larger companies, they have the ability to do it. But as I look at smaller business, I most definitely have to put the responsibility on the creator
Mm,
to make it more accessible. I'm gonna give you an example of something that I just discovered that I'm super excited to see, because now, as I am coaching others or consulting others, I'm able to show them like, this is what this company is doing, and you can do the same exact thing in your business. So Apple, they have Fitness Plus, I think
mm-hmm,
is what it's called. All of their fitness instructors know sign language. They have taken
mm,
the time for them to study sign language. And at the beginning of each segment, they're signing.
mm.
It is so powerful. When I saw that, I was like, shut up. If they're doing it, everybody else needs to be doing this. Come
Yeah.
on. Like, that was a movement for me. When I saw that, immediately I was like, I would never leave Apple. I would
Yeah.
never leave Apple. I'm an Apple user, but I would never leave them now, because I know that they support inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're
And
supporting
we're
it.
seeing some of their actions
Right.
in the media where
So,
they are standing on business a little bit.
right. And so my thing is, we have smaller businesses that can do the same thing.
Mm.
You're a yoga instructor. Okay, fine. You may not be able to sign, but just put in a clip of someone signing for you, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You can outsource an interpreter to interpret your stuff
Got it.
and just incorporate them into your videos.
Got it. Okay.
Or you do a side by side shot. Whatever works for your branding is
Mm-hmm.
easy for you to do. The resources out there. Or you can just call me and I help you.
The way that you're explaining it too, it like the Apple example is a really good one because it almost comes across like if you do this, it feels a little bit more like whatever you're offering is like a premium product because you're
Yes.
doing that extra
You stand out
that you
from
stand
the
out.
rest. And that's what I like to show people. I'm like, if you can just stand out in just this one little aspect, do you know the amount of people that you're going to reach that are untapped?
A ton.
You know what I mean? Like, you're reaching a whole untapped market. And I hate to like make it like it's just a money game, but you are truly making an impact in that community by what you're doing. So if you're a wellness coach,
Mm-hmm.
you're making an impact in wellness. If you are a business consultant, you're making an impact in somebody else's life that needs to start their business maybe is deaf.
Mm-hmm.
You're making an impact. But you're going to have to do what you have to do to stand out for that community.
Yeah.
You can't just expect them to come and you're not doing anything to show that you're at least trying to include them, right? Your marketing has to reflect that.
Yeah. It's gotta cross the board.
Yeah.
So in this business model that you're in, even though, like you said, you started it from a nonprofit perspective, there's a really big focus on like B2B, right? Like corporations, companies, small business owners. These type of businesses excite me. Like I know we've talked about it a little bit,
Yeah.
because there's tons of value to unlock, right? Like if you think about, like you mentioned, an Apple or even like a small local business here in Gastonia, you know, a lot of times they're going to have, 100, 200, 300 plus, they're going to have a lot of customers.
Yeah.
And so it's easier, not easier, but I think they understand that you have to spend money to make money a lot of times in the B2B space. And so when you come with that value that aligns with unlocking, spend from their customers, like you said, it's just it's a marriage where everybody feels good, even though it's like, hey, there's money involved. It may feel sleazy to some people, right? Doing stuff for money, but I just think there's so much power in like B2B, and then like you're drilling down. So like this is something where I've got to imagine, like, you're the first person I ever met who was focusing on this. Like there's probably few and far between the people that have businesses that do what you do.
Yeah, there's not a lot. I've done my research and studies on who my competitors are, and it doesn't worry me because even if there is a competitor out there, kudos to you. Let me pound you up. Let's go out here and make this impact together.
Got it.
Because that's how I feel about it.
So when a business comes to you, or they have an inquiry, or they listen to some of your content, and then they start going through the process, like what does it look like for them to come in from day one, and then day, the final day where they have that product that they can add into what they're already doing that serves this community?
So typically I do a discovery call. And it's important for me to do a discovery call because I'm very picky on who I take on. Very picky on who I take on, just because don't see the deaf community as a number. Sorry, but not sorry. I don't want the deaf community to feel like a checkbox. Everyone knows that we have this whole DEI issue going on. Good. Good. Because it shouldn't be a checkbox. It should be what's in here. You should want to be a leader that wants to be inclusive, right? So I want leaders who want to be inclusive and who wants to get this community inside either the workplace or have them as a customer is going to treat them like they're just like anybody else. That's what I want. So if you don't fit that criteria, I really don't want to work with you. It's not about the money for me. It's about the impact that you're going to make. Hands down. I can't. Knowing that my mother is out there, I just can't have a company seeing her as a number or as a checkbox. I'm sorry. I just can't. So I have a discovery call. I see if you're a great fit for me, for the company, for us to go through, and we take you step by step. We analyze. So we do what we call an audit. We audit either your building, because the first things first, if you have employees, I need to make sure that your building is safe for them to work in. If a fire was to break out, do you have places that they can not, because you can't necessarily hear it unless they're hard of hearing, but is there lights flashing that they understand, oh, it's an emergency going on? Have you trained up your staff to know how to deal with a deaf person in an emergency situation or just communication? What type of policies do you have in place? Like, I go through all of that. Once I assess that, once I see what you're missing, I give you that game plan. These are the things that you need to implement. Training wise, I'm going to come in and I'm going to train your staff. You let me know how many staff you have. I tell you how many workshops we can do to break it up where it's fitting for you, right? From there, after everything has been implemented, after everybody has been trained, after you have went through our entire process, we then present you with, you are officially deaf friendly business. And we're going to make it a big deal, right? And then from there, you get the plaque. The plaque lasts for about 3 years, just because we got to reevaluate to make sure like new policies don't need to be implemented. everybody has new staff that comes on. We need to train up your new staff, right? So it's just a rolling cycle of us just coming in just to make sure that you check the boxes in your business to make sure that you're deaf friendly. But we have to make sure that you are a good fit to work with us.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Being able to like make sure like I see the value in like it's almost like when people say like you go to a job interview
Yeah.
and it's like, well, both sides are technically being interviewed.
Right.
And it's like people forget that sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I get it. Like I'm here because I need a check maybe or whatever. Like I need a job. But then on the flip side of that, there's like, all right, is this a place where I feel like I can add value and it does what I needed to do as well. Like
Right.
we often forget about that.
And I do want to clear something up too, because I want to make sure that my messaging is clear on this. So even though I have Nita Silent Hands, that is technically my give back, my baby. The consultant side of me is totally different from the nonprofit. Totally different from the nonprofit. My nonprofit allows me to give back, do awareness events like the golf tournament that we have coming up. Like that allows me to do those type of events. That allows me to really bring people in and just really educate them about the deaf community. But my consultant piece, that's a whole different ball game, and that's a whole nother side of me that I'm ready to really go into and really go to that B2B
It makes sense.
area.
And I think
Yeah.
it's a natural progression.
Yeah.
Like for what you were doing, like Nita's Hands is like something that's near and dear to you. And then you say, oh, there's a need for this for like businesses. Why don't I do the consulting piece as well? And then that feeds what you
Exactly.
what you were wanting to do anyways, right? With
Exactly.
Nita's Hands. So like that makes perfect sense to me. And I appreciate you kind of specifying that as well because it's not often that we hear about somebody focusing in our community specifically, focusing on a nonprofit, and then there's like people are like, well, why do you just have like a nonprofit? Like, what are you doing? It's like no, like there's ways you can give back, and I feel like you've leveraged this nonprofit to give back in the way that you want, but you still have valuable skills that
Right.
businesses are out here wanting to tap into.
Right.
It makes sense to me. I love
Appreciate
hearing
it.
that. Yeah, I love hearing that.
Appreciate it.
And we don't often hear like both sides of that. We just hear somebody as soon as in certain environments. I know you can speak to this. When somebody says nonprofit, people immediately like turn off because they're like, oh, that's something else
Yeah.
in itself. And it's like, no, not really. Like there's a
Yeah.
way you incorporate it into who you are
Right.
and all the other things you do.
Right.
And that's where it becomes cool. Like that's
Yeah.
where people need to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
So I like that distinction. So what are like, well, you mentioned the golf tournament. I was gonna say like what's next and where do you plan on building? You want to talk a little bit about that coming up?
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be a part of that.
Yes, shout out to you. Shout out to you. Now, the golf tournament, this is near and dear to me because it's going to really help us with the next project that Nita Silent Hands has coming up. So we're doing a golf tournament to raise funds for what we call the Deaf Culture Experience. The Deaf Culture Experience is going to allow me to get 5 families that are either deaf or hard of hearing and their families around them and friends that are surrounded by them. We are actually going to do a documentary on each family to share their story. For me, I can tell someone's story all day long. I'm only one person. Also, I can't tell someone else's story like they can tell their story.
Not at all.
And so for you to feel it and see it and not only hear it, and we're trying to make it like a simulation thing too, because everyone has different levels of hearing loss. So each episode is going to be totally different in what you hear and see, right? So we're going to do that and we're going to take it, and our first platform is actually going to put it up on Scribe TV.
Oh, that's dope.
Once we get it on Scribe TV, we're going to take it to the next level and see how far we can get it with Netflix.
Yeah.
So it's a big project. Never thought in a million years that I'll be putting on a TV series, but that's the impact that Nita Silent Hands is looking to make. Right
That's
now.
awesome. I think about like as you were explaining it, I was like, oh, like 4D movies.
Mhm.
But then that's taking it to a level where, like, imagine if you could just have a glimpse into what somebody's life is
Right.
like.
Right.
You can not breathe away, but you can have all the senses kind of like
Yep.
in that mode. Like that would be
Yep.
insane.
We are striving to make this the biggest production that you will probably ever see when it comes to the deaf community. But the other aspect to it that I'm proud of is we're not just putting on this TV series just to have a TV series. We're also wanting to inspire deaf students that if you are wanting to go in this realm or wanting to become a filmmaker or a producer or whatever the case may be, you can do it. And so we're creating a program that they're going to go through at the end of their project. They're going to be able to take their skills and what they learned and actually produce one episode per season. So they will be responsible for at least one of those episodes that they will actually produce. They will do the interviewing. They will work on scouting and doing all the shots and stuff that I know nothing about. But we have a production company that will work closely with them to make sure that they get everything done. So I'm excited about that. We are partnering with Noah and Noel Productions to do the workshop side for the students. And then we're also partnering with Round 7 Production as well.
Yeah, I like it. And those are for those that are listening in, those are incredible local companies, right, that are doing some incredible work really just nationally, right? Not just in the local the local sphere, but it's exciting to see that type of partnership. And I know it'll be amazing. Like just the way you're explaining it is like I got my popcorn ready. Netflix, shout out to Netflix. Let's get the deal done.
Yes. Say it again so they
can
hear.
Netflix. Let's get the deal done. Please
that.
get that deal done. I like saying I'm okay with saying those types of things. You shared quite a bit on your story, what you're building now. You're a real advocate for this community. And it's going to be exciting to see, like you said, there's some opportunities in the space of like DEI that is such a hot topic right now. It will probably be a hot topic for the next, I don't know how many years or so, or
it's gonna be
terms.
For a while.
It's going to be a while. And so I'm excited to have somebody like you on the case and like representing and doing some amazing work there. How do we want to close this? Let's let how can folks tap into what's the best way for our listeners to tap into what you're doing?
Yeah. So one way that you can do it is you can always follow me on my social media page. Every page and platform is always going to be at Signing Starr. Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Threads, whatever is all out there. LinkedIn, Signing Starr. If you just look that up, you're always going to find me. But you can always find me at my website as well, www.signingstarr.com. I promise you, just search Signing Starr. You're going to find me somewhere.
Got it. Okay.
That is the name that I go by.
Yeah, that's an incredible name.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's gonna not be able to find you.
Yeah, you can find me by that name. And just get connected. It's going to lead you to the nonprofit. It's going to lead you to, the consulting side of things that I do. Even if they're wanting to book me as a speaker, I'm going into the speaking realm as well. So it's so many things that you can see on that page and what I'm doing. And just kind of stay tuned.
I love it. Things. Lastly, I'll pass it to you. We always have our guests close us out. Like, what's that last thought you want our viewers to take away from this conversation?
I want the viewers to take away this. Don't let fear stop you, because fear, faith enables actionable resilience. I go by that. I stand on that. So don't let fear stop you. Walk in it. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel like you're not ready, but that's the moment that you should be doing what you're doing. So just go for it. Just go for it. I didn't. Trust me. If I can do it, you can do it. So just go for it.
Appreciate it. Way to close it out for our listeners. Thanks for tuning in to another great episode of the Beyond Normal podcast. Peace.